Hello, everybody. I'm actually a little bit early. Check that one out. Hope Great Britain's ready. How are you doing, guys? Hope you're doing well. Hope you've had a good weekend, regardless of the low frequency that is reverberating round the nation and the globe. Remember, this is terrorism. This is supposed to spread terror and fear. So I'm hoping you managed to mitigate that and not let that effect take hold, because that is the very thing they want. It does look that way. It does look Chowdhury affiliated. Hi, Rose. Hi, everyone. Thank you for jumping on. Thank you. Thank you. Sunday evening. I don't know where you are in the world, but where I am, it is absolutely freezing. The frost is out, clear skies, beautiful crescent moon, but it is so bitter outside. Hi, Kimberly. Hi, Green King. It's going fine, mate. It's going fine. Going fine. A little tad bit busy, I'm finding, but that's good because I guess time flies. I've had a busy weekend, but it's been a productive weekend as well. So thank you for asking. Yes, Gary. Yes, Brett. Hope you're all doing well. Thank you for jumping on. Oh, mate, I can imagine Salford. Yep, the temperature's going to be pretty similar to here, isn't it? It's bitter outside. Mate, anything you've got to do outside, you kind of revise, don't you, your schedule, really. It's time to have rain checks. I know it's not raining, but it's time to have bloody cold checks or something. Yes, True Seacott. Thank you, everyone, for jumping on. Brilliant. Yes, Red Eye Jedi 420 UK with the big green love heart. Yes, I'm doing fine, mate. Doing fine. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all being positive, in a positive frame of mind. And I'd like to, first of all, yes, everyone, do me hip hop, big props, big thank yous, I guess, before I start anything. My channel, my streams, and on a lot of occasions, my videos would not happen if it wasn't for the help of many people. Many people. Some of them YouTubers, some of them just friends, I guess. So for this stream, certainly Great Brit, the man who I actually informed for once in my life that this stream is going to happen. Big thank you to you, sir. Also to Rose English, who has been heavily researching over the past couple of days, and we've been kind of passing little links backward and forwards. Also to Tony Bugle, of having some very good chats with Tony over the past couple of days over various issues, including this one. A lot of common sense coming from all these guys. And last but not least, Dean from PAG UK. Thank you very much for your little input on our little conversations that we've had, and also for the stuff that you sent as well. Thank you very much. Did you read? Wait. Did you read my previous message on your first stream, Truth Seeker? You know what, mate? I haven't read the messages per se thoroughly for quite a while. I've been so busy. Once I put uploads up, I have a brief little look, and then I'm out of there because I'm kind of off on the next thing, as it were, or work or whatever comes in front. Now, there may be a chance I may have read it, but it doesn't come to the top of my head. Living the dream, Phil. I'm always living the dream, old school. That's me. I don't know what it's like not to live the dream. You know, the thought of not living the dream depresses me. Seriously. May thank you anyway for everyone jumping on. I mean, as we know, it's not very nice circumstances what's going on what is going on? That is the major question. There is events happening. There are things happening. How do we quantify it and what goes on? Hello, Anne. Sorry, I just had to get me comment section up to speed. Hi, everyone. Thank you. Hit like, yes, hit it, abuse it, abuse the fummiest, uppiest. It's insanity. It is what's going on. I think it's a perception deception. I think it's a mind twister. I think it's a way of brainwashing people, inputting propaganda, which is flipping and twisting the perceptions of people, getting people accustomed to norms, things that happen, the way they deliver the news. There's a lot. There is a lot. Now, this story, where do you start with this bloody story? Right, well, let's start at the beginning. Right, London Bridge, it's now turned out they named two people that have died, a boy and a girl in their early 20s. 23-year-old Cambridge University graduate from Stratford upon Avon was fatally stabbed alongside another ex-student, Jack Merritt. Right, the boss of the venue at the attack began, which killed the pair, said the building turned into a nightmare. Toby Williamson of Fishmongers Hall said staff who'd fought attacker Usman Khan believed he was wearing a bomb. Two men took chairs, fire extinguishers and tusks, which were hanging on the wall to fend off Khan driving out of the building. Khan, 28, convicted terrorist who was released from prison in December 2018, was later shot dead by police on London Bridge. Families of Merritt and Miss Jones have both paid tribute to their loved ones, as you would. Very, very sad indeed. In a statement, Mr. Merritt's family described him as a talented boy who died doing what he loved. Well, died well too young. But I guess, I get his sentiment of trying to maintain positivity. But however, they must be so distraught. If he has got such potential, then it has been cut so short over something that even us red pill people, honestly, I can't get my head around this one. I haven't got the answers, and I'm not doing this stream to try and say I've got the answers. One thing I will say, this is one of the most intriguing cases that straight away off the bat has come out to debunk itself, but then at the same time have a level of validity, but then at the same time have anomalies all over the fucking place, pardon my French. So let me just read on and then I'll move on, because there is a lot of what I try and get through. We know Jack would not want this terrible isolated incident to be used as a pretext by the government for introducing even more draconian sentences on prisoners or for detaining people in prison for longer than necessary, the statement read. Now, that is the only way I can put that without sounding like I'm attacking a bereaved family, because I'm not about to attack them. That sounds like a very Christian way of looking at the first rawest feelings of your son or daughter. I guess this is the son. Yeah, this is the son's family statement. How they don't want any negativity to come from this. Now, what I'm saying is this is a BBC story, so I'm not going to get conspiratorial here. But would that be your thought if you was going through a bereavement of an attack of such magnitude and significance and symbolism, in a sense of what it represents? Want a direct attack on it, it was just a random attack. But yet, because of the situation that the perpetrator was in, i.e., He got released from prison early, having had an earlier sentence anyway. He was on a tag, which meant he should have been monitored. You would argue if anyone goes astray on a tag, the contingency plans to recoil them or at least give instant information. That's what the bleeding tag is for. I know it can't disable a man who's about to go round, but surely there should have been something. It seems weird. He had a tag. He was released early from prison. He had a sentence that shouldn't have been as low as it was anyway. So there's three fundamental flaws. But yet the family of the young son, which with such positivity and what is the word? Which with a lot to look forward to in the future, their response is to say that any other terrorist, you could argue, in this situation should not receive a full sentence. Am I reading that right, or am I reading too into this? What I'm trying to say is that more propaganda put in within there, but masked under a bereaved family's statement? They're entitled to hold that view, that's fine. But would you hold that view straight away? Is that not just an overtly Christian way of looking at it? Because I'm not being funny, my first response, and it's not that I'm satanic by any means, so I'm not jumping away from the Christian way of thinking. I love people, but anyone who's chose to not only be incarcerated for acts of terrorism, then not do the full sentence, then go out early, even having done less of the sentence, then being tagged. So there's many barriers there to stop him doing what he's doing. He still then picked up his knife and carried out and done what he's done under the ideology, which is radical Islam, of what he's done, with total disregard for any individual or human being. There wasn't carrying crosses. He doesn't know that they were Christians. They were just symbols of the West, of non-radical Muslim individuals. That's the only way I can put it. So he's still done all that, but yet, from my mentality, if he was then to take out my daughter, my son, or one of my friends' daughters or sons, or even more extended, someone I've never met before, their daughter, their son, knowing that they had done nothing wrong in that transaction, I would not off the bat be putting out statements saying that this should not lead to draconian sentences. Really? Now, I'm sorry, this is not coming across, and I don't want this to come across as an attack of bereaved parents, but my mindset is not there. I'm not totally the other way. Some people would go further than me and just recommend a bullet to the head of any of these people. When it comes to rehabilitation, can you rehabilitate? I mean, this geezer was apparently at a meeting to be rehabilitated. So how frigging ironic is that? If I'm reading this story right, the lad who was working at this place that was all about the program for prisoner rehabilitation has ended up worse off when his heart was in rehabilitation. So does that not show you that on a fundamental level, your liberalized policy of thinking that you can just change people's perceptions and the urge to kill someone off the bat because of their ideologies, do you think that can be just changed with a tag and a nice little tea and a couple of biscuits and a weekly meeting? Or do you think it may run a little bit deeper than that? Why were the de-radicalization programs not more severe, not more rigorous in this case? How come he was on the streets in this case? How come, if he is on a tag, he was not more heavily monitored when he has directly posed in the past that he is a threat to society in this case. But yet, don't forget, guys, we only have to go on a Brexit march. We only have to go on all different manner of marches. In this realm we live at, you could be at a fucking cheese festival, pardon my French. And then if anyone remembers, you will have police surveillance right at your side, okay? Recording your every moment with nice little fancy backpacks, justifying their presence on the premise of your safety, okay? But yet, you have a convicted terrorist who is known links to Mr. Chowdhury and his band of brothers, who has got direct links to terroristic acts and thoughts, not only against the West, but against this country directly. They go through a stage of slowly, one by one, if I've read the story right again, of being released drip by drip. If I've read the story right again, in stories I've read a couple of days ago, that counter-terrorism knew that by this happening, it would heighten the threat. So I'm sorry for that rant, but I just had to get a start and an end to my train of thought on that little bit. So on that point, I'm going to have a little sip of my orange juice and look at some comments because I've neglected to read them. No CCTV from the most watched city in the world. You're so right. Yes, Brit Girl. Yes, you are so right. Where is all this CCTV? That's a very good, legitimate point, to be fair. On a bridge that has gone through similar attacks in a country that has got the most surveillance out of any country on the planet. What is going on? It seems very strange. It does seem very strange. The anomalies just go on and on. At the same time, the talk of false flags, the talk of crisis actors, I get the rationale and the reasoning because of the anomalies that are popping up. However, the connotation with crisis actors and false flags may take this legitimate anomalies and critiques to an area of it being ridiculed as tinfoil town. Now, that is the only danger I've got within this, because the anomalies, it is easy to suggest crisis actors, it is easy to suggest a false flag of big proportions in so many different ways. I've watched videos, I've seen stills, I've read certain things to know. What I do know and what I can be really clear on is that something stinks to high heaven over this. Something. I'm not going to get too conspiratorial because I want to stay on middle safe ground here. And that's why I posted the video the way I did, posting the video as an event that has happened. Something within it is contrived. Something does not make sense. But then I'm not going to go personally as far as to say that it was crisis actors involved, because that you're in dangerous ground of ridiculing the fact that you've got every right to critique that something went the fuck on there, and it's not quite how the media have put it, and it's not even quite how certain people are putting tweets out about it as well. The extent of it, I don't know. Crisis actors, yeah, crisis actors is a real phenomenon. It is real. If you look there, That's Crisis Actors. That's a website proclaiming what it does. We dramatise events for emerging security needs in the UK, Middle East and the worldwide. Our specialist roleplay actors, many with security clearance, are trained by behavioural psychologists and rigorously rehearsed in criminal and victim behaviour. That sounds like half the fucking population, to be fair. To help police, the army and the emergency services, hospitals, schools, local authorities, government, private security firms, shopping centres, airport, big businesses, criminal justice departments, media and the military to simulate incident environment for life-saving procedures. Now, this is kind of trying to put a spin on it as if to say these are just normal everyday training programs that police and other emergency services have to do, so they kind of know how to then go about. It's just everyday drills. So I get that. Now, what we can't do is then go into unsafe ground and say that, okay, that was full of crisis actors at London Bridge, in my opinion, because when you really put your rational cap on, then what you would have to say is that pretty much everyone who was involved around that scene, we've all seen it on the bridge with the scuffle, with the shooters, with everything else that transpired. They would probably have to be actors also, would they not? Because the one thing you would have to do here, you can't have the public intermingling with what is a training exercise or what is a bona fide false flag event. You just couldn't, because the public would nose it up, because the actors have got a certain role. The public would not have a guide of instructions because they believe it is a true life event. So they would act differently. So I'm not so sure whether this event and all the characters and everything, all the shenanigans that went on, I'm not so sure. But having said that, when I'm looking at some of the video clips, some are going, because something does not correlate with what I'm looking at and with what I'm reading. This was not a false flag. You know what? I agree with you. But same again, if what we've got to do, we've got to be smart enough to specify and distinct what a false flag is and what the use of crisis actors are. Instead of the media getting hold of this and then assuming, because you've said crisis actors, because you've mentioned drills, that you've gone all the way to the extent to say that everyone involved. You're quite right. Someone says 2 people have died. So unless, let's put it this way, if this was crisis actors, then are the dead people crisis actors? Are they pseudonyms? Are they not real people? Because that's a hell of a claim. Or are the crisis actors now killers or killer? Or is he real in the field, but everyone around it who was crisis actors working with what we know as a real life terrorist, have they now partaked in the killing? Because this is where you've got to put your rational cap on. And this is where certain events, where certain people over the years have jumped to crisis actors straight away. And I think this is where it's run the conspiratorial. And because it's conspiratorial, it means that anytime you critique that story that is deemed conspiratorial, straight away you pigeonhole with them. With those people that want to think that we do live on the Truman Show, even though we do to a large degree. How did it go?
28-6.
Yes, right. Brilliant. Well done, babes. Right, I'm just streaming at the moment, but yeah. It's all right. You get what you need. Yeah. My wife's just walked in and just panicked. Don't worry, you're not on camera, my dear. And my daughter's just come back from netball and she's just smashed it. I've heard as well, so congrats. But like I say, this is where it gets complicated. This is where we have to literally have a rational cap on, but be aware that something stinks. Something. This, if I was to put a picture to it in my mind, what I'm thinking of is when as a tradesman, there's been stories over the years of tradesmen that have not been paid or disgruntled over whatever reason, right? Any tradesman, they've done a job domestically or even in a business and they've not been paid. So they've ended up, it's the oldest trick in the book, shoving a fish in a location that's not going to be discovered right away, right? Knowing that at the start, people are not going to smell the fish, but once that fish starts to rot and starts to decay, they know they can smell it, but they can't find the frigging fish. And then maybe it becomes apparent at some point. But that's what I liken this to. Some things are going on, but the crisis actor is to suggest, and the ultimate false flag to a degree, because there's elements of that which does make me question, going back to the anomalies, going back to the discrepancies. The fish is there, but I'm sure it's being presented almost as if, well, the easy thing is crisis actors, false flag, right, that's it. The world's a big, big matrix, and it is to a degree, but I think you're running yourself up a brick wall to a degree. (1984), indeed. I just drove to London Bridge looking for a 5-foot tusk, couldn't find one anywhere. Oh, wow. I mean, you know, the bravery. I mean, let's talk about that. The bravery of people involved. Because what are we suggesting? The guy that tackled the initial guy? Because I've seen videos, you know, let me go to something a bit more visual. Right. I've seen a lot of videos and stills, but I've seen a lot of deception. And I've got so much to go through here, so it's like I'm stopping and starting, but off again. But I do find I've got a lot to get through. And so I'm going to try and do my best. Right, thanks to Rose for this. Like I say, Rose spent a lot of the other night just fighting over links. Same with Tony Bugle, and I'll try and get to what Tony Bugle actually sent me as well. Right, okay. This is a tweet that apparently has been sent by Boris, Bojo, as the Bugle likes to call him. Now, it looks like a bona fide tweet for all intents and purposes, right? It apparently, you can see at the bottom, it's at BBC, right? Now, this is ironic on a different level, but we'll get to that in a minute. So someone's obviously recording this off TV, yeah? They've done a screenshot. I don't know whether you can see it, but just above the bar, the BBC bar, you'll be able to note the time and the date. Can anyone see it from here? If you've not seen it already, yeah? Let me just tilt it. Does it sound silly? Let me just tilt that up a little bit. Can anyone see it? It's uncanny. Now, I don't know whether it's any Photoshop. I don't know what are going on in. Right, let me get the... Okay, let me tell you. Let me read it. I want to thank the emergency services and the members of the public for their immense bravery in responding to this suspected terrorist attack at London Bridge, right? So this is Talking Post. This is an appalling incident and all my thoughts are with the victims and their families, right? Fuck all wrong with that. Very statesman-like statement in it, right? The only thing is, can anyone remember the time that it supposedly happened? It was around 2 p.m, wasn't it, if anyone remembers? Maybe shortly before, but it was no earlier than probably 1:30 to 2 o'clock. Now, the trouble is with this, is when you look at the time there, it says 25 to 9 in the morning. 25 to 9 in the morning on the 29th of November 2019. So what do you make of that? He's tweeted something out at 25 to 9 that was officially rolled out and happened because it was filmed in the afternoon. 1:58. Thank you, Tapper. Nice one, mate. Thank you for being on the stream as well. Thank you to anyone else who's just jumped on and I'm just mid-rambling. So, unless this is photoshopped, I've no idea what's going on here. Yeah, so that's an anomaly, isn't it? You would say. Was he in a different country? Was Boris in a different country? You know what, mate? That is the only logic. Thank you for pointing that out, and it's a very good, valid point. That is the only logic that would adequately make it sense. But then, what I would say is, I remember the early reports, and the early reports said Boris was in his constituency, and he was making his way back to 10 Downing Street from his constituency. So, unless his constituency is running at another fucking time zone, I've no idea what to make about that. Now, you would think that if it was photoshopped, why have the BBC not got onto that? If it's a hoax, what the fuck are going on? Why have they put it on there? Unless it's photoshopped that the BBC is on their newsreel. The only way you would know that is if you were the person that's seen it with your own mince pies on the telly in real time and you pause that shit and you go, what? What? Are you telling me what? That's the only way. So unless this has been manipulated in some way, I have no idea. But these are what I'm saying. It's not for me to then go, crisis actors, false flags, but I am going to say that this stinks to high heaven. Now, it's ironic that the BBC was the ones who fucked it up on 9/11 with building World Trade Center 7. Remember? Remember that? So I don't know whether this is something just panning out. I don't know whether the mind is playing tricks, but I know what I can see there, and I do know the time, and I can see it's got a blue tick, so I don't know whether someone's playing with us here, or whether they're gaslighting us, but the event did happen. It don't mean to say the event did not happen. No idea. Tinfoil that. No, well, this is what I'm saying. I have no idea. The event happened. There was evidently people who have died because of it. The event was all there to see. Let me show you something else. I'm not trying to say that's it. The whole world's, I'm not. And this is what I'm saying. This is why I'm being as semantical as possible. But I'm just trying to say, even though I'm not going as far to say that, I'm still saying there's something not right. Let me try and get off this. I remember. Oh, bloody hell. Never used this bit before. I'm going to get out of this. Oh, Jesus. Just enlarging it and I don't know how to show. What? You having a laugh? All right, just give me a second, guys. We'll work it out. So, I don't know. Oh, here we go. All right. Thank God for that. I'm starting to panic then. Let me show you something else. I'm just going to randomly, okay? Not a lot of people have the understanding of the term false flag. Exactly, because it can be utilised in so many different ways. It means different things. False flag doesn't necessarily mean that everyone was involved in the manipulation and the complicit behavior that then transpired to be 9/11. It doesn't mean that at all. That's ridiculous to mean that. It could only mean just a handful of people in key places making the powerful decisions that then roll forward. The people underneath, under the pyramid, just have to do their job. They might go and go, well, why are we doing this, sir? All they've got to say is, you don't need to know. Just do your shit. And that's it. And then later on down the line, you start to wonder, well, why were these all, so that, there's all different elements of false flags to get different achievements. But false flag doesn't mean the whole world and his dog was in on it, because it can't mean that. You can't have that, because there's so many people that would let it out the bag. There's too many people that then could make a mistake, which would then let it out the bag. So you've got to keep this if you're going to do it, something like that. But let me keep going. I got this sent. This was from Rose again, I think. Thank you, Rose. Apparently, this looks pretty bona fide, but this is a newspaper. Now, unless someone's drawn on the newspaper, which could be a possibility, or whether the people who have printed that photo have manipulated the photo. What I can tell you is that it's inaccurate, because if you look there, this is the guy that's featured on a lot of the clips that I've watched. He must have, obviously, the knife had dropped or someone had passed it to him, so he felt he was the fucking knife keeper, and he's just doing the dance up here. He's tiptoeing up and down, so I don't know what he's rolling it and what his name and if he spoke to anyone, but he's the knife man, you know what I mean? And no guns were pointed at him, so it was evident that he was nothing to do with it. But at the beginning, when I first got these clips, I'm thinking, why is he running up and down here? What's going on? But anyway, so what is shown on the earliest clips is that there's no blood on his hand. There is no blood on his hand. There was not a blood on the knife. And if I remember rightly, I'm sure looking at that, that's got a black handle. I'm sure the original knife didn't have a black handle, but I might be wrong there. But I can almost guarantee he did not have blood on his hand, right? So that paper shows that there. So whether someone has manipulated on the top of the paper, as in just put a little bit of red marker on that and then try to then discredit the paper. This is the world we live in. You don't know what the fuck could go on in. All I know that the fish is in this fucking room and I can smell it. But if you're going to ask me to now, find the direction of that fish, I don't know yet. It stinks. That's all I know. It stinks. There's anomalies. There's another one. There's his hand on a close-up there. Look, you can see. Now, same again. I don't know whether that's been done by the paper or by someone who's drew on top of the paper, because I'm getting it like third generation or whatever it is. Or whoever's got that, I don't fucking know. But that's the proper image you can see there, it looks like. And it looks like it was a black handle after all. Then you've got this one. Is this a video? Yeah, this is a video. Seen this one. Same again. You don't know whether these are shot clips, as in the validity of it. One thing I will say, and it's starting to slightly piss me off now, but you can't help it because people think they're doing the right thing, and everyone's a fucking cameraman. And I'm not saying I'm brilliant, because I'm not. I'm shit myself in many different ways. But what really annoyed me during this process is when I'm watching videos, you can't validate it. You don't know who's uploaded it. You don't know who's talking behind the camera. The person doesn't want to go on camera and say anything. They've just maybe whispered, murmured something, then fuck it, upload it. So then that makes it clear game for non-verifiable. When you can't verify it, you can't then really admit it as evidence as such, because you haven't got any smoking gun, because there's so many clips that could be manipulated in so many different ways. And this hurts me, because I want to think the world is a conspiracy. I want to think that we live in this mad matrix and everything's doctored around us, and we do live in this Truman Show. But at the same time, I've got to be rational, and I've got to think, you know what? I do live in the real world, and certain things do happen. And even if I don't like them, I've got to come back and go to that simple point. So let me carry on with this anyway. Yeah, this video. This shows, look, that's footage of him getting up. Now, whether this is before, well, it's obviously after the event, but obviously cleared event. But because you can't really verify it, I'm looking at that and going, well, can I be 100% sure it's on the same day? I'm sure it freaking is, because it all corresponds in some way. But then, so even if you do, you go backwards and forwards. Is it, isn't it? I've no idea. Then you think, right, well, he's supposed to be dead. Go on in here then. What's going on in there? He's just totally sat up. He just totally sat up. Now, from what I've seen on the original footage, because I've seen the whole thing filmed from a geezer in a car across the street, he got 2 slugs pumped in him from close range. Now, I think the policy, I'm almost certain the policy is fatal shots when you've got a vest. And that was the narrative at the beginning, wasn't it? That they had to kill him because he's got a vest. They didn't know it was a mock vest, but they couldn't take any chances. And everyone's going, yeah, I agree. Don't take any chances. Take the fucker out. Pardon French. Take him out. Of course you're going to say that. And then what happens? You see this. So is that totally doctored? What's going on here? He just totally gets up. What? Like the Walking fucking Dead. I mean, what's he going to do now? Start eating brains as he's walking around? I mean, I'm not making light of this, but what the fuck's going on here? You know, the narrative's telling me one thing, but my guy there looks like he's off to go and get a fucking bacon on toast. You know, there's something not right about this. But then again, is that put there to twist my melons anyway? You know what I mean? This is the hard work. We've all got to work out what is actually the bleeding truth, because we're getting disinformation. We're getting people that are purposely twisting shit and uploading it to make it look a certain way. And the truth is somewhere in the middle of it all. Oh, Jesus, it's been a right couple of days working this crap out. This is just another view. If you can see that. All the kerfuffle down there. They're backing off there, not knowing what to do. Here's Knife Man here. He's got the knife and got off. Look, you've got a lot of people there jumping on this geezer now. Brave guys. If they are just the members of the public, balls of steel. Look, you see the gunman there. So you can see where he gets shot from. So there's no way he's going to get shot from there and then wake up like he's off to go and get a fucking coffee. You know what I mean? Like he's been out on the night before, got pissed up and just fell asleep on the street. Really? Come on. Something's not right. So either that footage is absolute BS or this shooting is BS. But this shooting was supposedly done by a terrorist who was convicted. So we can't forget that in all this as well. Let's see what some of the comments are saying before I carry on. Oh, Jesus, missed a lot, guys. Sorry I've not been interacting. Craft there. You can't eat bacon. I know he can. I'm on about me, mate. I'm not talking about him. If I woke up like that, having a night out on the piss on the bridge, sorry to make light of it again. First thing I'm after is non-halal meat. You know what I'm saying? I'm after the bacon butter. That's me personally. And that's the way he got up there. Like, what the fuck am I doing here? Shit, I'm hungry. Or shit, got to be somewhere in an hour. You know what I mean? It's like he should have had he had 2 geezers from close range with automatic weapons, or one geezer at least pumped 2 bullets, or the 2 of them pumped 1 bullet each, under the premise that he had a hoax vest on, or a vest on that they now realise is hoax, but they couldn't have took that chance at the time, so they had to do fatal shots. There was nothing fatal about them. What about that was there? But is that me just twisting it backwards and forwards? But I can only go off what I present. So as much as I'm saying something's not right, something's real. So let me move on. This is another shot. I don't think it shows anything significant here, but just another angle, I think. It's like with a vehicle or something. So there's a few people on him. And I'll tell you what, the guy from Balls of Steel, what I noticed, there was one guy who was still on the floor, and the police actually had to rip him out, rip him off him. Now, if he's a real guy, mate, fucking hell. You don't want to mess with that guy when you piss him off. Look, him now, he's just got up and legged it. And then that's when they shot him straight up. So it's like the police were dragging him off because they couldn't deal with him. Look, see that then? Right, I just noticed that. But is that a normal, natural bodily response to someone? I don't know. I can't say I've seen too many people in that position. So, I don't know. Right, let me just go back a little bit. Don't know whether you can pick it up, right? The body, when it's just got shot, you see the bag, or you see something go up, the coat, or whatever it is. We'll see that then. So you don't know. You don't know whether that's a natural bodily response when you're shot. Could be, might not be. So I'm not going to go too conspiratorial with that, I guess. The body does strange things, I guess, when the body, I don't know. That's weird. This guy here, Walking Dead man, just getting up. That's not right. What's going on there? He clearly wasn't there before, was he? He wasn't there before the incident, or someone just didn't happen to have slept there the night before. So I don't know what's going on there. That's also gone on about the time when the other tweet by Boris Johnson. So there's some photos that are kind of showing the location slightly differently. Now, I don't know whether you can ascertain from there, but you can see the summit there, fire extinguisher and weapons and whatnot. I'm not sure what that is. Is that I don't know what that is, but it's not there now. So I think that's what that photo, that's Dean again. Thanks a lot. Now this is the other anomaly, right? Worrying pattern seems to be developing with British elections. 16th of June 2016, Jo Cox murder. 7 days later, 23rd of June 2016, EU referendum. The 3rd of June 2017, London Bridge attack. 5 days later, 8th of June 2017, general election. The 29th of November 2019, London Bridge attack. The 12th of December, hey presto, 2019, general election. Now, you could think, and I've had chats with Tony over this, and Tony's of the opinion, well, this could be just ISIS kind of try to interfere with not only Christmas, but with the political process. Fuck us up, you know what I mean? Start trying getting everyone worried and blah, 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 getting people diverted into a way of thinking to someone who might want to, whatever, that might be fine. The only problem is the Jo Cox murder was a right-winger. That was a right-winger. So what do you do with that when you got a right-winger in a load of ISIS murders? It's fucked up. Summit, I can smell that fish in the room, but I haven't located it yet. That's all it is. I don't know. There's more to it. I've barely even really scratched the surface on some of this shizzle because I've not had time. I've been on working on PAG stuff and working per se. Don't mess with Censored Islamic State. Which radicalized in it. Radicalized. I mean, same again. Talking about this makes it look a certain way. One thing I will say. Where is it? Let me find it. This is what, this is what's come from it. So, some are either good, the story's going right out there, or not. So, the crisis actor thing is working all the way to ISIS. They've claimed responsibility for it, saying the guy indirectly kind of followed him, I guess, or was at least going under their instruction of what their ideal. But one thing I will say that is another melon twister, and I don't know whether people feel the same way. I will ask one question. Who has aided ISIS from the very beginning over the years in various ways? Has Western intervention aided it? Has Western money aided ISIS and the development and the growth of ISIS? Has Western lack of intervention in the Obama years? Did that play a part in the growth of ISIS? As Western intervention in the financing of proxy armies that then went on to join ISIS, or even worse still, were strongly linked with ISIS at the time of the financing by Western military organizations to destabilize other countries. So I don't know. As much as you go, right, ISIS represents Islam, Muslims, the bad guy. I can see it a different way. ISIS for me represents radical Islam. Radical Islam is not Islam per se, or not at least the people who live by Islam in a peaceful and honorable way, which there are many of Muslim population that do that. However, the people that do interpret the Quran in its probably in unadulterated form, then they are what you would regard as radicalized and live it to the full extent. So there is a distinction, a true distinction, but yet this attack, some form of diversion, does it not kick off the left and right kind of attack again? What does it do with that? That's strange how everyone will just be blaming one another. Divide and conquer will come and start. No one really needs to kind of go off rationale. We'll just start hating on each other, and that is slightly worrying. Is this a bigger manipulation? But not to say the event didn't happen, because obviously the event did happen. Now, you've got to look at the judiciary and in their part in it, in terms of allowing a convicted individual of such crimes where he's a risk to society, because he's carrying out wishes that are against Western values, but he's living in the West. So that is almost like an absolute nutter with a knife that as soon as you take your hand off his hand with the knife, he's going to go and just slash anyone indiscriminately. So you hold his hand, restrain him. So the last thing you do is go, well, I'll give him 5 minutes and I'll let him go. No, because the second you let him go, he's going to go and do something else. That's kind of exactly what's happened here. Peaceful for now. Well, there's an element of manipulation in this. I think personally, Islam has been made into the bad guy. And in terms of what we're seeing in front of us, there's enough to suggest, well, yeah, there's elements of Islam that is fucking horrible. It's cruel and it's extreme and it's counterproductive against Western values, Western civilization. And you could argue that brand of radical Islam is trying to do nothing but create havoc over Europe. Fucking totally right, pardon my French. But then at the same time, I go, well, that does not mean every Muslim. Because if I then do that, I then am general sweeping. I'm then putting myself in a trap of being an Islamophobe. I'm going to get banned. I'm going to get told, well, the rise of the far right means that you've got a lack of a voice. So because I couldn't distinguish what is right and wrong within Islam, but yet what is the true target within Islam, within us, even though I know what even the nasty element of Islam that is attacking us, who the fuck is sponsoring that? Follow the money. Follow the money. Is this all Islamic based? Or has this element of Islam been utilized in a tool to absolutely persecute Europe? That's the thing. Are the people at the very top of this Muslim? That is the big question. So then everything lower down, yeah, okay, it's Muslims in your face with vests fucking running around with knives saying Allah Akbar, but who's put him up to it? Who's put him up to it? Who's put him up to it? Not to say let's give him a good right. I think the worst thing we've done is allowed public political correctness and human rights into what is a common sense argument. People are a threat, and this needed to be eradicated as soon as it happened. But it was allowed to garnish for a few years. The imminent threat on civilization was allowed to garnish through propaganda. Who is to blame for all that? Was that all Muslim based? Or were the radical Muslims allowed, given a gateway, given a path to do what they've done? That's my way of thinking, but I might be full of shit. What am I? The man that knows something knows that he knows nothing at all. I'm a humble painter and decorator. I ain't no analyst. I'm just speaking as I see it. Something stinks in the room. Just join, what's he saying? Sounds like he's waxing conspiratorial. Not at all. See what I mean? This is what I'm saying. See the trap you get yourself into. What do you want me to say? Muslims done it all. Jews run the world and Hitler's right. Shut down the stream, that's it. Because that's really, is it that cut and dried? Is it that easy what we're living through? The paedophiles are only certain people, that's it. There's no one above him, there's nothing invisible. There's no working out to do. This link tells you all you need to do. No. These free YouTube vids tell you all you need to know. Are you serious? The man that knows nothing, the man that knows something knows that he knows nothing at all. So I'd like to step to anyone in a respectful way and say to them, what makes you so sure that you know the whole thing? Because I guarantee it, we're all working it out. Now, to suggest that everything I've said that is right tonight, no. But I'm not getting conspiratorial. I'm exploring all possibilities. So when someone says to me conspiratorial, right, okay, let's get conspiratorial for a second, right? Everyone talks about 9/11, goes, right, conspiratorial, everything, yeah, all right, UFOs. So, and this is what I'm saying. Soon as you go to conspiracy, you get shoved in the highest spectrum of conspiracy, and it's disingenuous. Now, conspiracy means that obviously to conspire, one or two more people to conspire. But yet, because I critique, it makes me conspiracy. Because I want to venture and explore avenues, but stay in the very middle position, it makes me a tinfoil hat wearer. It's a ridiculous position to be in. So, going back to the JFK administration, okay, in America, you can remember at the time it was the Cold War. There was an operation that was taken out, or there was an operation that was duly wanted by elements of what you could class as a shadow government working behind JFK, because he didn't even know about it. He found out about it, freaked out, and then duly sacked individuals that were responsible for it, right? This operation was called Operation Northwoods. Now, same again, this ain't conspiracy, right? But this explains the false flag scenario. So check this out. Operation Northwoods was a proposed false flag operation against the Cuban government that originated within the US Department of Defense, DoD, and the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the United States government in 1962. The proposals called for the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, or other US government operatives to commit acts of terrorism against American civilians and military targets, blaming them, the acts, on Cuban government and using it as a pretext to justify a war against Cuba. The possibilities detailed in a document included the possible assassination of Cuban emirs, sinking boats of Cuban refugees on the high seas, hijacking planes, blowing up a US ship, and orchestrating violent terrorism in US cities. Proposals were rejected by President John F. Kennedy. That's your false flag that was done right under his nose. They wanted it, he's seen it, and he didn't want it. That was not his way. So that that some people detail that was the first rumblings of what we perceive to be the shadow government, the deep state. A government that is working in line. Now, to suggest that that is going on here, I have no idea. What I'm doing is showing you a piece of proof that governments do act against their own people in a pretext to justify their own narrative and agenda. So no one should be naive to suggest that as soon as you talk about a false flag event, all of a sudden you're talking conspiratorial. And as people, someone's just put there, where is it? Yeah, this is out of Vietnam. Most of the wars have been created through some type of false flag event to give them the pretext. They come home and tell you certain stories, but in reality, it was kicked off. And it goes on all the time. I've even been told and seen evidence over the years to suggest the IRA, all that kind of shenanigans that was going on in the 60s and the 70s, there was an element of orchestration about it on both sides. So we live in that world where there is manipulation. There is, whether we want to hear it or not, whether we want to look at through the trees. That saying, sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees. Well, when you're seeing narratives pumped right in your face, of course, that's the narrative you're going to go with. But then 5 years down the line, when you've had a little bit more information, all of a sudden, them trees start to slightly change form, don't they? So I'm not conspiratorial by any means. I'll wrap this up now because I'm going to get going. Thank you, everyone, for joining the stream because I've really enjoyed it. I've not really interacted, but I've just tried to get out. There's so much information I've still not gone through here. So much. Like now, because of it, you can see now the Tories and Labour are having a smack at each other. Whose policies whose was there, and so there's an element of being political tool. There's an element of where you could say, was this orchestra, or could have this have been orchestrated in order to stretch Boris Johnson or to get some manipulative political points out of it? Or is it just a straight organic, nothing to see here in everything, and all the other bits of information, all the other stills, all the other videos are somehow we're all twisting it? It's totally up to everyone what opinion you want to hold, what conformity bias. I hold none, or I try not to. Well, I've still got some element of conformity bias. I would be lying there. But same here, I spent most of my time today going into what is regarded as a conspiracy theory, but then climbing back out because I can't stay there because I'm too rational, or I try to see things on a rational level where I could talk to someone who is totally unaware of it and they'll go, well, yeah, you've got a point there. I'm not going all fucking, ET on this, even though there's an element of truth in that, but let's not go there either. One thing I will leave it on, for me, doing this, looking at any of this, you ask questions, you go onto the net, believing them questions are going to be answered. And it's almost like walking into a room that you perceive at that time is one door, because that's the only door that's right in front of you. You open that door believing that when you've done it, it's going to answer everything you want. All it inevitably does is open more fucking doors as soon as you open it, or that's how I see it. So as soon as I believe that I've answered that question, I've not. What I've done, in reality, without even answering it, I've asked myself another half a dozen questions within it. So in a sense, I never get to the truth, but I am bolstering everything a little bit more with a bit of rationale, common sense. It's not quite satisfying my lust to give me that smoking gun, But I'm getting there, and we're all getting there, I do believe. So that is about it. I'm going to probably wrap it up. I could keep it going for another hour chatting crap, but I've really got to get back to the family now and see what go on in the family household. So I hope you've enjoyed the stream, and I hope you don't think I'm going too much on any kind of fairy John, because I'm not. I'm being relative. This was a real event. This really happened. This does seem to be real victims, but there's an element of manipulation, exploitation, and narrative building. We see within it. Within it, you only have to look within the average newspaper and you will see it. What a go on, Boxing Fan 101. Family, yes, Stanley, thank you for acknowledging that. Yeah, I'm going to see what they're doing. I hope everyone else is doing okay. I hope their family is in place. Remember, there's 2 families out there that are now got a loved one less this Christmas. I mean, you know, there's situations where people are losing their life in many scenarios that are not getting the story that this gets also as well. So we do have to say that. Terrorism on a grand scale in terms of numbers of how people die in so many different events shouldn't be overblown and over proportionate in terms of how people die generally on the planet through different ailments, you know. If you was to look at how many people died through cancer this year as opposed to terrorism, but obviously it's a totally different scenario when they've died in that circumstances from an external form and everything else. So I'm not trying to say one or the other, it's just a numbers thing I was referring to. So anyway, guys, thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Keep in tune because there is quite an important video that will be popping up in the next day or so regarding PAG and the manipulation there. Respect to Great Brit, respect to Brit Girl, respect to Janaea, Rose English, Dan, who else have we got? Dean, we've got Billy, we've got so many influential, respectful, honourable, common sense, intelligent, articulate, fucking eloquent people that I love being around. I love having conversations, and without their company within this movement, within whatever it is that is left of the movement, I would feel so desolate. I would probably not be here, and they give me so much inspiration and strength and good counsel. So thank you, everyone. I love you all. Even the pissing haters. Massive respect, rest in peace to those who are fallen.